Integration of the East African community is expected to achieve, among other things, free movement of labor across the member states. We spoke to Linda Kromjong of the International Organization of Employers during her recent visit to Kenya and Tanzania. Take a look. This is your first visit to an African member federation of the International Organization of Employers. What's the mission for this visit?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's not my first visit to Africa, indeed. In my previous role, I have been here, but it's my first visit in my current role as Secretary General of the International Organization of Employers to really visit one of my members in Africa. And as you rightly said, it will be Kenya today, and then I will move to Tanzania for another 1.5 days to meet with the member federation there, but also with other member federations of Eastern Africa. And what is very relevant for the International Organization of Employers is that we do meet with our members, but also with their members, to really understand what is relevant for them, what's relevant for business, because that's what I do with my organization. We represent business worldwide, 144 countries, 155 member federations, and I can only represent them in a good manner on the social and labor policy side if we do understand what their needs, their concerns are.
And would you give us an idea on what kind of negotiations are likely to take place during your visit here?
I think employability is a very, very relevant topic. And I think Africa is doing very well. I think the growth figures that have been shown by Kenya, but also by other countries, I think are very impressive. The world is also recognized that Africa is the continent where, say, the future growth is going to come from. And that means there will be more employability, there will be more jobs being created, but we need therefore business to create those jobs, and we need governments to set up rules and regulations to enable business to create those jobs. And one of the points I also addressed earlier today during the lunch meeting is that in order to create those jobs, we also need people to fill those jobs. And I think that is where we still have some wishes to go for. If you talk about employability, if you talk about skills, if you talk about, say, the fit between the educational system and how that fits with, say, the business requirements, but also how do we make sure that young people, that we have many of them on an African continent and also in Kenya, that we offer them opportunities, that we offer them opportunity to get into a job, to get into internships or apprenticeships or work readiness programs, because that is relevant for them to make then really the step into a real job, into business life.
Now, integration is a big conversation right now in East Africa. What role do you see this playing towards improving employability in the region?
That is not only a topic for Africa, but it is specifically relevant here as well. And what we see happening and what is really very relevant for business is that we need to be able to do business across borders where we do not have too many hurdles. Skills, I already mentioned it before, talents, sometimes for specific sectors and for specific jobs we have shortages, and we need to be able to have procedures, rules, regulations in place that make an easy transfer from one country to the other possible without too many blockages there.
Brain drain continues to be a worrying trend for Africa. Now, what does it say about the ability of the private sector to absorb skills and offer employee satisfaction?
I think there's two probably parts to that question. I think brain drain, yes, but I think probably also a lot of people currently are coming back because they see opportunities within Africa. On the other hand, we also see there is not always, say, the best connection between the educational system and what the business really needs, say, from a skills and competency and educational perspective. And you can complain about that a lot, but I think business has also a responsibility to address that issue. And together with the educational system, where being that secondary or tertiary education, find solutions to make sure that the fit between, say, what we teach at universities, what we teach at high schools, does match the needs that business has. And therefore, I strongly encourage government, educational institution, and business to work together on that one.
Would you say that the employment federations in Africa have a clear vision towards promoting decent employment in the continent?
They have a decent vision. And if I come back to where I'm currently in Kenya, where our member federation, the FKE, is really playing a very active role. They're being recognized as a voice of business in Kenya. and not only for Kenya, but also outside of Kenya for entire Africa. Jacqueline Mugo has been recognized as one of the most influential women entrepreneurs and managing the KFE. Yes, the collaboration is there, the vision is there. It is also very much about, say, the tripartite finding solutions between governments, workers, and the business that is taking place in Kenya, and business is there to engage, willing to step up. And I think also business is stepping up and taking their responsibility, also in many, many other parts of that are linked to employment, but it's about how they do business. If I may make the link to, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 agenda, the CSR agenda, business is taking on its responsibility. It's not a nice to have anymore, it's a must have.